Hey guys, it's Big Mike, and like always, I'd like to thank you for being here today. Today we have Damon from FuturePath Trading to talk about his brokerage services as well as PhotonTrader platform. So he's going to go through a presentation that covers all the major bullet points about his brokerage and the different FCMs that he has access to. And then he's also going to show some screenshots and give some a little demo of the PhotonTrader platform. Once we're through with that, we'll open it up for questions, and I'm sure that he'll do his best to answer everybody's questions. And I know that there's going to be quite a few of them, so let's just try to hold those questions until the end, and then we'll put all the Q&A at the end of the presentation. I also want to remind everybody the webinar is being recorded, and I'll post the recording on BMT sometime tomorrow. And okay, Damon, you should have control.
Hello, Mike.
Yep, we can see it, and I can hear you.
All righty. Well, thank you, Mike. We'll get to, you can see my screen, I hope, and you can hear me good.
Yep, everything's good.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike, for having us. I don't know if I should just call you Mike or Big Mike, whatever you prefer. But it's great to be here to be able to present FuturePath Trading and PhotonTrader to everyone in the audience. I want to thank you for coming. This is, something that I don't do very often, so we're going to wing some of this, but I put some slides together. We might look at Photon Live as well. But at the very end, any questions that you might have, feel free to ask, and if I can answer them, I will. So let's get started. FuturePath Trading is a firm that I started back in 1995. It actually started as the Schuler Group. And I'm going to take you to the next screen. And I have a disclosure statement because I didn't know if anybody else, if Mike had one. But I noticed Mike had one, so I'm sure that you're used to this one. If you've watched any webinars, it's something that we have to do. We're registered with the NFA, so we want to make sure that you understand about the risks of trading futures and options in Forex. And so we're going to go on. I'll leave this up for a second. So I'm here to talk about FuturePath Trading and PhotonTrader, which is our software that we created. So brief history on FuturePath. Like I started to say before, 1995, pretty much started FuturePath. It was actually called the Schuler Group, and this is a company that myself and two other partners started on the floor as an execution operation, and we used to execute pretty big clients, fund clients, institutions, hedge funds, members, and we executed in the S&Ps primarily. We had execution operations throughout the CME floor. At that time, electronic trading had just gotten off to a small start in 1995. Globex came out. I believe Globex 2 came out in 1996. But the way we made our money back then, executing, was using our experience and years of knowledge to execute for the big funds and institutions. That company back then was called the Schuler Group. In around 2000, 2001, we began to see our clients going to the screen and looking for some kind of electronic trading solution. We decided to get out in front of it and start our own electronic front end and solution for the clients that we currently had on the floor, something that was as good as our own execution, meaning as far as quality, that we can offer to funds and institutions. At the same time, there was a company called Getco Trading, which Getco actually just, I believe, they were the ones that bought Knight, it wasn't just a merge, that started through us. One of our partners started Getco, and of course now they pretty much bought Knight. They started with buying $87 million worth of stock of Knight, and then later on they purchased them or kind of did a big merge. But that's how fast and how furious some of these firms grew. Getco was an electronic trading algo that traded market-making algo that started really small through our company and then grew. Currently, they probably do about 15 to 20% of some of the volume in the futures markets that we're talking about, just in the market-making aspect. But I'm going to move forward. 2001, we decided to go ahead and build PhotonTrader, and we brought on a tech partner, and we began to build out the execution front end. As time went on, in 2004, we changed our name to FuturePath Trading, same firm, and became registered ourselves as an IIB. At that time, Photon started to grow. We built our own infrastructure, and we hosted quite a few high frequency clients and members to trade through us, through our infrastructure. By 2007, we almost did about 8% of the Board of Trade Merck combined volume. It was, we were doing probably 8 to 20 million contracts a month in clearing through our brokerage. A good portion was, I don't want to get into who they were. I can't disclose that. But anyhow, 2008, FuturePath then decided to use Photon not just only for in-house and members and high-frequency clients that we had, but to rewrite it and then open it up to the world pretty much. So we rewrote PhotonTrader and made it really top-notch in 2008 and with new code, .NET, and added more features and made it scalable to the masses. In 2009 we released it, but by 2012 we decided to really cast the net and allow all traders to use it. That's probably why you haven't heard too much about FuturePath Trading and PhotonTrader. We were, we did quite a few contracts a month in volume, but it was primarily through some pretty big clients, and now it's offered to everybody. So let's move on a little bit here. I'm going to try to move fast because I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to get through these slides and how much time it's going to take. So a little bit about my history. I'm not going to bore you to death. I get bored with these as well, so I'm going to try to move quick and make it fun. And I started in 1977, and it's kind of funny because in 1977, when I started on the floor, that was 3 buildings ago at the CME, and also by 1979 when I traded in the Mid-Am and I bought a seat there, actually they didn't even have a quote board, they had a chalkboard. So I came from a chalkboard to executing in 10 to 20 milliseconds. Still kind of boggles me, but you have to embrace the future and keep, change is good, and accept change. I was one of those kicking when electronic futures came out. I wanted to stay on the floor. I liked the floor operations, but I could see the writing on the wall. Through my years, I managed multiple operations, over 5 of them. When I was at Shearson, I not only managed Shearson's S&P operations, but I was the one that executed for big institutional clients like Tudor Jones, Lewis Bacon. Through the years, I've executed for Toby Crable, for Monroe Trout, and so I have a bit of experience. Of course, like I said, in 1995, that's I started my own firm along with my partners, and that was the Schuler Group, later on called PhotonTrader, FuturePath. All right, so what I did is, to make it a little easier, I posted the questions that most people want to know, and kind of answered them on the slides, but we'll talk about them so I don't have to just sit there and read it, but you have some text there you can read yourself later. So who is FuturePath Trading? I kind of went through it, but one just quick note is that we're an IIB, which means Independent Introducing Broker, registered with the NFA and regulated by the CFTC. All of the partners that started FuturePath, one thing to realize is they were, I have personally 36 years experience, but they had as much as 32 years experience. They were members, they were traders on the floor, so we knew when we were building Photon kind of what we wanted. For selfish reasons, we wanted it to be good for our own purposes. So what does FuturePath offer? We're a technology brokerage firm. We have a host of services. We are a futures and forex IIB, registered with the NFA. We offer multiple exchanges, trading software, and tools for traders. We also are very competitive with commissions and margins. I think we're right there, and we can compete with anybody. So what type of clients do we have? Now we have all kinds of clients. We did have mainly the high volume professionals and automated traders, but we have regular individual traders, of all sorts, retail. We have commercial hedgers, and we offer full brokerage service for those who prefer brokers to help them out and give them trading ideas. So how low are margins for FuturePath? This question comes so much, and it's kind of a pain, because low margins doesn't mean it's the right firm for you, number one, yet, or is it good for you? We offer 20% margins, which we think are far below what you really probably need. But there are firms out there that offer lower margins, and that's actually very dangerous for the trader, we feel, and for the firm. Now, if you look closely at some of these firms that offer lower margins, they can be quite scary if you look into their financial depth. And I just feel that this is something that you should consider looking into when you are going to a firm that's trading $400 margins or something like that. Because if there was a flash crash and everybody and there's $2,000 accounts with $400 margins, you have to ask yourself, are you safe, and is your money safe? So I'll leave that go, and you can ponder on that later. Yeah. Why does FuturePath have so many clearing partners? We do have 7 clearing partners. Actually we have 9 when you include Forex. Back in 2011, we were caught with the MF Global problem. We had a good portion of our clients there, and we only had 2 clearing firms. First reason for having multiple ones is that we can be there for our customers if we have to switch. It offers versatility. Every clearing firm has something different to offer. If you only have one clearing firm to offer, you're bounded by their services and their software, their margins, and their capital. So we wanted to have choices. We decided 2012 that we were going to change the face of FuturePath and offer as much as possible. So there is no excuse for a trader not to work with us. So let's take some of the clearing firms, that we'll go over some of the clearing firms that we have. But one thing that you have to know about clearing firms is that, each clearing firm offers some kind of software and some kind of exchange. By having more clearing firms, that deepens the list that you can offer your clients. So if there is a exchange that is kind of not a popular exchange, there are some FCMs that might be able to have connectivity to it, so then we can find that exchange for you. If you are a client, for instance, we have a family that's on the that's well over $1 billion in that capital. They need a firm with a large book. So UEdge is one of the clients that we have for clients that have quite a bit of funds and they feel comfortable with somebody like UEdge, which I looked recently, and I think they have $940 million in excess net cap, and we'll get into that later. Or if you want someone who has a slew of services, there might be another FCM that might have more software services that fit your needs. All right, let's not ponder too much on that one because I got a lot to go over. So here are the clearing firms that we currently clear. If you look on top, KCG, Vision, RJO, Dorman, FC Stone, OEC, UEdge, and then the two bottom are the FX clients that we use. It's ILQ and Gain Capital. So between all of these FCMs, we have quite to offer when it comes to exchanges, versatility in the structure of each FCM, and also their software possibilities and connectivities that they offer. So we can pass that on to the client. For instance, all these clearing members, all these FCMs, through all these FCMs, there is a multiple amount of software that we can offer. You could see all of them up. I named some of the bigger ones up there just so you could see. These are all the softwares, front ends, whatever, software charting, platforms that we can offer because of the amount of clearing partners that we have. And there's more than that. I looked at it. We have about 34, I believe, different software front ends that we can offer. Okay, so FuturePath has connectivity to multiple exchanges. As I said earlier, you can read on there the exchanges that we have connectivity to. Most of them, most of the clearing firms connect to all of them, except for some of the Asian firms, or only a couple FCMs connect to those, which we then in turn can connect to them. But these are probably the most popular ones that anyone would use. And we have been known to make special arrangements for any other exchange that isn't on there through some of our friends in the business. So a little bit about our services. FuturePath, most of our brokers, in fact, all of our brokers are experienced, very experienced. But I have to say that a good portion of them have somewhere around 15 to 25 years experience. The employees of FuturePath have been with me, some of them as long as 13 years, no less than 6. I feel that it's important to create a community and that is like a family, but also very experienced and with enough knowledge to be able to answer any questions and help any kind of clients. We do educational webinars through time to time for our customers. Linda Raschke, I'm sure you've heard of her. She's my wife, so I'm going to let you know that. But I've known her for 20 years, and I've followed her technical analysis courses. And for those that don't know Linda, she has written a couple books. She's been named in multiple books and on in magazines and articles. She also was mentioned in was it Market Wizards? That's right, Market Wizards. And from time to time, Linda will give webinars, and so will most of what you see up there. Big educators like Jim Dalton, Don Miller, Brett, and others. They're good friends of ours, and we like to be able to keep educating our customers. The idea here is to keep them around, keep them doing well, and then we do well in turn. So education for us is something we like to offer as much as possible. We also do demonstrations on platforms, and especially PhotonTrader. We'll try to do demonstrations for those who from time to time need to understand Photon better. We have a great trading desk. You could call up and do everything through our trading desk, check your trades. If you get stuck, we could get you out. And if you want to check risk, you have questions with an order, especially Photon. Photon straight through processing. We control the front all the way to the back. We can actually see if your order was, why it was delayed, when it left your front end, when it got executed, when it went to the clearing firm. That's the advantages of owning your own software. Commission rates. Oh, this is a fun one. Gosh. Well, commission rates are hard to post. There's firms out there that post your commission rates, and that's because it's easy for them because they have one or two types of clients, and they have one clearing firm. So pretty easy to post clearing rates. But because there are 7 different futures clearing firms, each clearing firm has different rates offered to us, and some are better when it comes to discounts, discounting their futures. But it's not just about the FCMs, it's also about the customers. For instance, if you're a hedge fund and you're doing 100,000 round turns, we're going to give you a rate down in the 15-20% rate. I mean, that's how low we can go. If you're using a broker and it's a broker assist, your rate's going to be much higher than some kind of electronic rate, because depending on how much time and how many types of services you are using, and what kind of information you're getting from the broker, that charge will change. For the most part, if somebody's just using a regular front end, the rates can be, is competitive and under something like a trade station, for instance, just to give you a ballpark, or IB. We're definitely competitive with everybody who's out there, and we could beat everybody's rate. It's not about cheap rates, it's the right rate for the right client. Let's see, so FuturePath, if you do want to open up an account, you can go to the website. You just click on futurepahtrading.com, click on the Open Accounts button, and you can pick your FCM, but you should probably talk to a broker or a salesperson first, because this way you can negotiate your rates depending on what your rates are, so we get to know who you are, or you can get a quote at least. So then if you do want to do that, phone number's up there, and you can go ahead and email sales@fptrading.net if you choose to email. All right. Let's do a little introduction to PhotonTrader. And let me tell you, again, the founding partners of FuturePath, we were all members, traders for years. Myself, 36 in the business currently. And we pretty much knew what we needed, how to design features that would fit traders like myself and high frequency traders, especially since we started early in the business and kept on adding better features and improving PhotonTrader. So PhotonTrader is a real easy front end to use. As you can open up multiple modules on it. You can float them. You can trade off the charts. There's all kinds of nice functionality to it, and it also routes to multiple exchanges, and it is extremely fast. That's and reliable. So let's go through a little bit of some of the here is a list of different features. Rather than read them all, you can read them, but let me just zero in on a couple things. The kind of orders that Photon has, you can design your own OCLs and brackets, use a scale-in function if you want, design your own trailing stops. You can have multiple programmed contingency orders. You might have 5, 6 different OCLs that you might want to create, so you can create your own. There's multiple templates to do other possibilities with the front end. Like I said, it connects to multiple exchanges. You could trade off the charts. Our new charts are pretty neat. I'll go through them. The nice thing about them is it's real easy to trade on the chart, but you can either enter an order on the chart and exit on the matrix. You don't have to do it all on the chart or all on the matrix. It's a mirror function, so your orders show up on both. So the charts also have some pretty neat features in there. Some features you won't find on any other charts, especially Linda's indicators. We got some of those, our candle volumes, and we're adding more. Our charts, we're not, I'm not going to, try to tell you that we're everything for everybody. It's always good to have a couple charting, systems. Just because no chart has every single indicator you want. Well, although our charts might, you can use another charting system along with it. The idea is to have charts that you could trade off, and it's nice to be able to see your order in the chart for me. When I'm trading, I can kind of get an idea when I put an order in where it should be on the chart, but by seeing it on the chart, you might notice that, well, if I tweak it by 2 or 3 ticks, it's going to be right there at a better level, which seeing is believing, right? Let's see. So let's talk about the infrastructure. Photon has their CME servers for Photon. We use Rhythmic on the back end, and our servers with Rhythmic are at the CME data center, which is in Aurora, and that's where the matching engines are. You could pretty much throw a ball from from our servers probably to the matching engine. Reason for doing that there's absolutely no delay between our back-end servers to the matching engine. So if there is a delay, it's not coming from there. It's dependent maybe on your connection to us. We want to minimize any delays that could come up or arise. So our execution times are as quick as 15 to 20 milliseconds. It's about 1/5 of a tenth of a second if you have a direct connection to us. Or if you're on the internet and you have a good internet connection, it could be as fast as 50 milliseconds. That's pretty quick, and that's important, especially when the market's moving in one direction. Alrighty. The servers, there's backup servers that they call them shadow servers, so that if the server goes down in the back, on the back end, there's a server that has everything duped of what you were doing, so you don't lose orders, lose connectivity. And that's really important. In these days, You know, there's some firms that they don't have a backup for you, and if the servers go down, or the server goes down, or you have an issue, you may be stuck, and you might not be able to get back up and get out of a position. You know, that's a dangerous thing to do or to have. Yeah, Linda, for instance, Linda Raschke, which I said was my wife, but before she was my wife, she was a client for a long time, for 20 years, but she had Photon in the early 2002, 2003. She liked Photon from way back and has been on it since. She was trading a hedge fund, which she still has, but at one point was a $120 million hedge fund. You can imagine you can't be stuck with 100 or 200 lot, you know, without backup servers. Okay, so I think you get my point. You can write to the Photon API. Photon was rewritten, and the API was written so that you can easily write to it. You know, and every feature in Photon is visible in the Photon application. That's something to be aware of. So you can create whatever you want. You can almost, if you wanted, you could create your own front end writing to our API. And it's written in C#.net, so it's fast and easy to use. Okay, we also offer a host of other APIs, and for Ninja traders, you know, we offer Ninja Trader through Rhythmic, Continuum. You can use TT or PATS, but I feel like Rhythmic and Continuum are the best. If you're writing to an API, of course you can write to our API, but you can write to Rhythmic, CQG, Continuum, or TT, PATS through us, and we can clear the trades. We do offer private hosting for those who want their own server at the exchange. Of course, there's a cost, but it's reasonable. You could have your server there, and you can either be on a shared server there, or you can have your own personal server for those automated traders that are interested in something like that. All right, let me show you some samples. We're going to do a couple things. I think we are doing okay on time. I'm going to show you some snapshots of Photon, and then I'm going to try to get in a couple, you know, show Photon live a little bit, as long as we can do this before the exchange closes. So currently, what you're looking at is just a basic Photon layout. You don't have to set it up this way. I just created something that, you know, may be of interest to some traders to set theirs up this way. Over here, you're looking at the quote board. They can see my mouse, I guess. Yeah. And over here is an order entry, just another order entry module that we'll get into later. This is the matrix. Some call it a matrix, some call it a ladder or a dome. I'm sure you all get that. And this here is our, you know, just one of our charts that I put up, and this is a popular one that we have. It's volume candles. So, and what basically you're seeing is the candles widen out as the volume gets bigger and bigger. And this is very important. And for those who understand that volume is probably one of the most, for me, it's the most important indicator there is, because it's the only one that's real time. It's not a lagging indicator. You're seeing real-time data and volume happening to the millisecond. So that's important. And you can see, like in this case here, you know, when the market broke out of here, you could see the big volume candle down in a continuation. These just happen to be one of my own little reversal systems that I wrote into the system. Not that you have to use it. It doesn't come with it. You can just click on studies and add it. Here's an example with just one matrix, right, and one chart. And this is just a regular chart that I brought up. You could see the orders right here that were put in. This is an OCO on the matrix. So you can place the order here, or you can place it here. In this case, I have the matrix up, So you can see the OCO, and it shows that it's connected, so one cancels the other. And you can see it on the chart as well. So here's a little bit more of a description of just the Photon chart, along with the trading buttons on the right side. You can either show them or not by just clicking this. If you're not going to trade off the charts, you don't need to have these buttons on there. But what's really nice is you could just click on a limit, click, and then that order would be entered into the market. You can enter brackets through their OCOs. You got a get flat button, change your quantities here, change your stop, cancel all bids and asks. You can see here when I was talking before, with this order, you can see in this little shelf, this is where I would look for a breakout. With the volume candle, you can see the push down, the volume picked up, which shows confirmation. When I was in the pit, one thing that I always joke about at seminars is that volume is important. If we're going to make a new low or a new high, and I could hear myself bidding on a new high, for instance, that I knew I was wrong, because the market's not going to move without institutional volume and good volume behind me. And that this is the same here. If we broke this little wedge here, or this little shelf without volume, chances are the market's going to come back up into this area. It could be a spike or a failed breakout to the downside. Just something to consider. I don't want to get into technical analysis. It's a whole other webinar. Okay, here's another example. You can open up as many matrix modules as you want. You can have 10 of them. I have to tell you that I don't suggest opening up too many matrix or ladders or domes, because they all work the same. It's a redrawing technique. Okay, so it takes a lot of CPU usage. A lot of data is coming in. So what we created is a link system, so that you can link from your quotes if you want, if you're trading multiple markets, one of your ladders or matrices, so that if you just click on the market you're going to trade, your matrix will update. This saves CPU usage. Okay, it's important. So what are we looking at? Well, again, a little order entry module I'll get into later. This is the market view, and then here's a couple matrices. I think you get it. This little oscillator down here is the 310 oscillator that Linda programmed into our charts, and that is available if you have Photon. Okay, I'm going to move a little quicker. Here's the matrix. You get the whole picture. Okay, this here is our market depth. We created a different market depth, so again, volume's important. Who's buying and who's selling. It used to be very important on the floor. So this is one way that you can tell, like, if the big boys are leaning in one direction or not. Over here, we have a market depth that everybody has. You have the bid, the offer, with the size on both sides, how many orders or how many contracts this is, right? But what's more important is really what's trading. Don't look at the bid and offer, because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I don't put a lot into it. It's just a little advice coming from a veteran. Look into what's really trading. So we created this filter here in this module on the time and sales. So you could put in a number and say, I want to see 30 contracts and above, what's traded, and I want it to update every second and wipe out this information, because I don't want to look at anything that's 5 or 10 seconds. You could change that to 5 seconds or as many seconds as you want. In this case, it's 30 contracts. Anything above there, it's going to post. If it's red, this is being bought on the offer. This is the time that it was executed. This is the price. And this is showing right here at that point that they were buying the offers. Okay? If you're making a new high and you see nothing but red, 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 and big size, there's institutional buying coming in. At the very end of the day, that's a very positive tool to have, and an important tool, because there is a lot of market imbalances at the last half an hour, and they have to be met. And this is where you could see the order flow coming in. And it's legal, but this is a good way to do it. Blue, if it traded blue here, in this case, somebody sold 51 contracts at this price, hit the bid, right? There was a trade there. You could create multiple charts, multiple indicators. You know, if you don't like what I'm showing on the, you know, let's say the candle volume, you can have regular bars, or you can have just regular candles. You can have the Keltner channels, moving averages, the DMI, or I mean MACD. You can arrange it, have 6 on there, or you can have 8. You can have multiple desktop window setups, and then you can save them. But here's an example of 6 charts and some trades going in on a couple. Here's another example. Maybe you throw up a matrix and you have 6 charts. Here's one with 1 matrix, you know, different setups, maybe 4 charts. You expand this one, 2 little ones. Let's get into some of the features now, look a little closely. We have Photon, the Photon market view here. Actually, the market is getting close to being closed, so I'm going to get into this for a second, and then I'm going to bring up a couple of things just to show you. This is the market view, the quote board. It's very high-end. You can slip and slide all these columns, move them around. You could trade off this just by clicking on the right or left, and this will pop up. You can say buy quick, how many, and what price. So you can also trade off the quote board. You can link your quote board with multiple modules. You can make tabs like this. I made these tabs. You don't have to do them like that, or you can have them this way. So let's see if I can bring this down for a second. All right, I'm going to try to bring up quickly a couple things here so you can see them. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, here we go.
It's hard to click at.
No. There we go. Okay. So this is a live quote board right here. Like I said before, you can do this. You can trade off of it. You can go buy quick, doom, put it in right away. I'm moving kind of quick because I do want to be able to show you a couple of things before the market closes. Let's see. I believe the E-minis are still open, right? Yeah, we might be looking at the crude oil here. So, yeah. Wait. I think the E-minis are open. Yeah, they are. Okay, so we can actually I could show you on here. So if I wanted to put an order in, ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that. The order goes in. I can move it just like this. Let's bring up a okay, right here. Here's the matrix. Put in order, slip and slide it, cancels. You can put in a OCL. This was a OCL I created, activated, and just put it in. There's your target, and this is your stop. Now, if you choose, you can slip and slide these, and you can see them on the chart if you want. Let me just bring up this chart here a little bit. Blow it up so you can see it before the market closes. You can see the volume bars at the very end of the day there. All right, so let's bring up this order matrix. So you notice I can slip and slide them from here, or I can move them from here. Well, here's another feature. I can pin this so it won't minimize. Okay. All right, here's my stop. Move it like that. If you were to want to at all change your matrix, it's very easy. And this is very clean code, a lot different than most of the ladders. Most of them are just kind of some fancy Excel, module that can't be moved or can't be changed. You can just hit this like this and expand it. You can hide this if you're only trading one market. You can add the time right here. We can see it's ready to close, so it's going to close in a minute. Okay, it closed. Well, we got a couple trades in there just to be able to show you. But let me do this. I'm going to bring up a, all right, where are we here? Be patient with the old man. Okay. All right, so this is what I was talking about. If you want to link this group with this. Now, if you're trading multiple markets and you don't want to have too many of these up, of course the markets are closed, so you can see nothing, the bid and offers aren't moving and there's no volume because the markets are closed. But all you have to do is click on what you want to trade and it will change with whatever module you use. If you choose to bring up a market depth, for instance, let's see, I'm looking for a market depth here. There we go. Here's market depth. And I don't think you're going to see anything. Now you see the market depth before it closed, but of course this is where you would see the time and sales that we were talking about, and this would be the filter. But again, you can also do this too. So now you see how this all changes together. Very clean, very easy, easy to change things just by clicking here and going right to the options menu, and here is where you can make multiple changes to the front end. Confirmations, if you choose to have them, different ways to change the market depth, different defaults. You can have my instruments. You can assign different quantities to each contract and instrument that you have, because you might trade 2 to 4 in the E-minis, but you might trade 1 and 2 in the bonds, and you might trade 5 and 6 in the YMs. So you can go in and set defaults for those markets, so you never have to change the quantities. In this case here, if you loaded for the day a bunch of different products, all these will stay in there. When you reopen your platform, you just click on them and they'll be there and they'll change. You can also take out columns, add columns. There is one interesting thing, and too bad we're not open, but you could see here, this is an order function that actually we have, and I don't know if anybody else has it. This shows that this 82 lot that's resting in there is 9 orders. This consists of 9 orders. Pretty interesting to know, because especially in the night markets, you can actually see, if you see a 100 lot and you see 1 order there, you know it's 1 order, right? And he can easily cancel it, or he really wants it. That's a nice feature. So there's multiple features you can add. This is for big institutions. I don't think you want to sweep the book, but hey, in case you're big enough to, what this basically does is it adds all of the columns, all the size here. Let's say all the way up to here, you can do up to 1,346. If you were to click here with that number, you should be able to sweep that book. It adds it up for you. But it's also a nice feature to have if you are looking at the night markets, just to gauge how busy the night markets are. It can kind of add up the market depth. Just a nice little feature. Let's see. Let me take that off just so it's not so busy. You can have the traded volume come up as the market opens and start to build a chart here, or you can pull up trade history. So when you pull it up, you have like a little market profile, volume profile there. That's kind of a nice feature. You have a left and right click button, so you can have a left quantity and right quantity to be able to put in your limits. You can put in stops 2 ways. You can click on stop and just click on it, or you can hold the control key and click on the order entry where the price that you want to put your stop in. I know I'm flying through this, but there's just so many things you can do with Photon. I'm trying to get get them in here because the idea is to make, give you an idea what we have and see if you might be interested in being one of our customers. Over here, this little button here, it gets rid of all the extra stuff that you don't need. Okay, in case you want to just see the market itself. You can create, if you go over here and you want to create tactics, which is all kind of different order entry types. For instance, this would be a bracket. You can say, you can name the bracket, tactic name. You can name a bracket. You can create an OCL, whatever you want. You go ahead and say, I want to offset it by this number, and I want my stop here. Do you want your stop to be a trailing stop once it goes in? And how do you want it to trail? This is just an example. And if you say you want to save this, let's just, for the fun of it, let's just call it Big Mike. Yes. Okay, save tactic. And you close this. When you go down here and you click on Big Mike, oops, right there, this will be that particular strategy. I kind of like to create them so that I know what they are, and if it's an OCL with a 4-tick stop, I call it OCL 4. But you can do it whichever way you want. You can name it after your wife if you want, or your husband, either or. So again, you can do multiple arranging. You can change the size very easily with this. You can change columns, make them bigger, make them smaller, move them to the right, to the left. I can go on and on. If you're trading multiple accounts, this is where your account list would be that you can trade. Very good for CTAs, and we do have a lot of CTAs. Of course, Linda is one of them. So this is Photon, and I'm going to go into some of my slides now because then you can see them a little bit. You can actually see more of some of the functionalities. I could show it to you here, but it has the descriptions of the functionality. All right. Ooh. Okay, let's find, where am I here? Let's see. All right. Okay. Well, let's. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry about this. Just this isn't. I'm not a webinar guru, if you want to call it. I haven't done. I do webinars, but I never get used to them. It's not my thing. Okay. So here's a little description. We have an order manual that a manual that you can look and see all the functionalities from there, or you can call our desk and get a one-on-one demo, or listen to one of our demo webinars if you want. This over here is the order management window. I kind of drew out some things here for you to see. If you wanted to see all your orders, you can actually view them on an order management window. You can have them up. You can you could filter it so that you're just seeing executed orders or working orders. You can have multiple little windows up, so you can have one, executed order window and one window showing working orders. If you choose to see the orders from there, you can also trade. Some people like it the old-fashioned way. They click on an order and they trade from here. It's fine. We have multiple ways to trade from. Meanwhile, you can slip and slide all these columns, and you can also upload them. Upload all your trades into a Excel file to do what either store them for yourself for your records, or manipulate them to see by buys and sells. There's multiple things you could do, and you can even do it from here without putting it up to an Excel file. It's a nice little window that we have. He has a lot of functionality for an order management window. This is the trade pad, or I should say order entry module that we have. This is another one that actually is pretty much a favorite as well as the matrix. We have some clients that like to float these around and have them on different screens. You can join the bid here, join the offer, take the bid, hit the bid. You get buy stops, sell stops. You can put them in all from this module. It's just another way to trade. Because I came from the pit and the floor, I like this little feature. It makes me feel like I'm back home. So like if I want to join the bid, I don't have to find the bid. I just hit this as the most current bid, and whatever size I have in this box, it will go in there. If I want to buy market, sell market, just another module, trading module. Again, you can link everything. I think I went through that with you, but in case I couldn't bring up a live, the live front end, I put these on a screen here so you can see them. I want to mention a couple things about FuturePath. The clearing firms that we pick. I know that everybody wonders, well, why? What clearing firms do we pick and why? A couple things FuturePath decided not to do is to go through non-clearing FCMs. As you know, luckily we weren't part of it, but PFG was a non-clearing FCM. For those that don't understand non-clearing FCMs, they're not as it's not as easy to they're not as transparent in a lot of ways to us, as far as my opinion, and they usually only go through one firm, and the actual size of non-clearing FCMs are very small, so you're using their risk capital, not the FCM's or the FCM's balance sheet. We prefer to use the FCM's balance sheet, and we want to make sure that the FCMs are solid and their financials are in place. It's very important. Non-clearing FCMs, they sweep the money, they control the money, and that's what happened with PFG. And it's just not something we do. And typically, non-clearing FCMs have small clients and offer low margins and are a little bit riskier for us. After MF Global, we really don't want to go that route. MF Global was big, but somebody like PFG was just, I feel was long coming anyway. So I also, for those who wondered too, that every FCM has a different financial records that you could see on the CFTC site, and you could see what they call their excess net cap, the extra money they have in case something were to happen, and there's extra money there so that the firm doesn't blow up. For instance, New Edge has as much as 950 million net cap, which is extremely large. Knight has, I believe, 230 million. RGL has 71 million, and so those are pretty big balance sheets. But a lot of these non-clearing FCMs, for instance, will have 1 million or 2 million. So you have to ask yourself, is it safe, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions. I hope that I can answer them, and I can see your questions here. Let me just open them up.
Well, thanks very much, Damon. I'll go through and read the questions, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's see what we got. And guys, you go ahead and start typing them if you've been waiting.
Yeah. All
right, so let's see here. Candace is asking, if you're using NinjaTrader, I think she's asking, can she also still use the PhotonTrader trade matrix in addition to NinjaTrader?
Please show us futures. Yeah, so that's true. You can. You can actually have both. NinjaTrader, for instance, goes through our Rhythmic connections. We have our own Rhythmic connections, but for good reason. And you can have Ninja through Rhythmic, and PhotonTrader goes through Rhythmic. So yes, you can. The answer is yes.
Okay. Let's see. Javier is asking if you could find out which of the FCMs that you're working with will accept clients in British Columbia. And actually, I see a lot of questions from Canada. Hey, is it Ontario also, or is it just British Columbia that's usually a problem for a lot of FCMs?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. Canada, I wish Canada was easier to work with, with the regulations and that. But it is British Columbia that is the hardest. Currently, there's a handful of clients coming to me that want to open up in British Columbia. And we are actually forging with maybe another FCM. That there might be a possibility there with that FCM, but currently there isn't anybody that we have, and I really don't know anybody else. I know RCG decided not to do any more there, and so British Columbia is tough. I mean, we have, between all our FCMs, we can open up clients with in Ontario and a couple of the other provinces, but British Columbia, for whatever reason, seems to have we have the hardest time finding clearing firms that will clear them.
All right, Elliot asking, how much is it? How much is PhotonTrader?
Okay, so PhotonTrader, currently Photon, if you're using Photon, there's no transaction fee. Like, for instance, like with Ninja, there's a 25 or 15 cent transaction per side. For the front end, it's $60 for just the front end without the charts. It's $99 with the charts. But we are waiving that for next month for some of the users, depending on the situation. So there are some special situations, but that's currently our normal structure.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, then if somebody wants to use their own charting platform, but they want to use your DOME execution, your matrix, your ladder, that would be $60 a month, right?
60 per month.
Gotcha. Okay. Mark asking, what volume or market profile features do you have? I saw a volume profile ladder on the DOME, right? Do you have any charts that have market profile or TPO?
Actually, we used to, and we are forging a relationship. Our old charts did have market profile, and we may be able to offer it to select clients, but we are working with, at this point I can't say who, but we are going to be offering market profile charts again, and a new version of market profile in our system.
Great.
Just a real quick note, when I did work at TD Ameritrade as managing director of futures for a little bit, and I designed the monkey bars there for market profile. Jim Dalton, who is a very good friend of ours, has done a couple webinars on market profile, and we're going to be inviting him soon. So you will see some market profile real quick.
Okay, great. Let's see. Brian is asking whether or not execution, I think maybe he's referring to latency, is affected depending on which clearing firm that you use. And he's also, let me read the rest of the question, does clearing only come in after the close? In other words, if the execution path between the two different FCMs when using Photon is the same. I'm not sure I fully understand. Do you know what he's asking?
Yeah, I think I do. But well, first, there were so many questions. I think what he might be wanting to say is the first question, I believe, was, is the execution at different clearing firms different? Well, for PhotonTrader, it really isn't, because we use the same connectivity to the exchanges. The path is different to the clearing firm, and the trades are as soon as you make a trade with Photon, it is in a millisecond. I mean, before you can say a millisecond, it is sitting at the clearing back end, meaning the clearing system, whether it's GMI or ION, so that if you were to log into the FCM clearing, as soon as they post their clearing, with some of them are within minutes and some of them are like 10 minutes or something, you'll see your trades there too as well.
Right.
You don't have to wait till the end of the day. You can actually go into you know, their I don't know what's the right word for it. You know,
the customer portal. Yeah.
Their GUI, if you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, I reread
the other thing. The other question, I believe, was it. You know, the speed. The speed is the same too.
Right. I reread the question. I think.
Now, let me.
Sorry. No, I reread it. I think he might specifically be asking whether or not you guys have your own risk management, or if you use each FCM's risk management. That would be the really only difference in execution, right?
Currently, so yes, FuturePath, PhotonTrader. PhotonTrader, we handle everything completely ourselves when it comes to the risk, but you know, they are signed off by the FCM. They know that we handle it.
Right.
They can also you know, cancel orders if be necessary. But there are some of the FCMs choose to do their own risk management on the back end, but we still have our own risk desk that you can call. You don't have to call them. We monitor all risk.
Right.
FuturePath.
Gotcha. Elliot asking if you know what Dorman's net capital is, and he might also be referring to the excess capital, which you mentioned at some point during the presentation.
I believe I looked at it, and I have a sheet here. I think it's up to date.
There's a FCM report on the CFTC site too.
Right. So you could go on the CFTC site. Yeah, their net cap is $8 million. Which one thing about Dorman, and we picked Dorman. They're good guys. I've known Dorman, Dennis Dorman, and the whole gang. You know, the partners and everybody, Mark Nagel, for a long, long time. I have to say they're just a very solid firm, at least, you know, through the years I've known them. We recently became an IIB not too long ago with them. But $8 million is their net cap excess, I want to say.
Gotcha.
So that's a decent amount.
JW asking whether or not you would need to separate a swing trading account from a day trading account. And let me tack on a separate question that I think this applies to some people as far as trading like sub accounts. Do you guys offer such a feature?
Yes, we do. So there's a couple different ways to tackle that. You can use the same account for swing or day trading, or you can have, you know, you can have sub accounts, which answers your question, and you can have a drop down list, you know, on your matrix, so that you can, in one account you can trade the swing trade, and the other one you can trade day trade. And you can have, with Photon especially, not all front ends, but with Photon we can offer things like, you know, 3 or 4 front ends tied together. So if you're a little trading group, you're a bunch of guys and you're all trading together, or it's a prop room, you can see each other's front end if that's what you sign off on. So that one guy can watch another guy's orders if he has to cancel them, or if you have a supervisor situation, or let's say you know, you're a trading fund or you're a CTA and you have 2-3 traders in the CTA. For instance, Linda at one point had one of her traders for the hedge fund that traded for her in California, one in Florida, one in Chicago, but they can all see the trades, and they were on Skype, and if you know, Linda was busy trading something, you know, else, she might tell one of the traders, you know, sell 100 bonds, and they'll go into the system on their side and do it, and she can see it.
Right.
So there's all multiple ways we can tie them together.
Okay, great. David asking if there is a free trial available for PhotonTrader, and if so, does it also include live data, and how long is the trial?
Sure. That's always a popular question. Yes, if you go to the FuturePath site, and on the left side, you click on free Photon simulator. You have to fill out all that information, and you know, I have to tell you that this is not something that we decided on. The CME's gotten very strict about simulators, so they want name, address, email, phone number because they're very, as you know, with the new data regulations coming out as of January, they're very strict, and they only offer 30 days. You can only have a simulator for 30 days. Now, if you have a live account with us, you can also have a simulator ongoing. You're not limited to 30 days, so you can have both. But yes, you can go to the site and get a simulator.
Okay, and so just to expand a little bit, so excuse me, if somebody wanted to have a paper account along with their cash account, it would show up like as a different account number or something on the platform?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because if you're trading on a simulator, that's purely going to be your simulator account, your paper trading account, but your live one will be.
Right. But is that, just so I better understand, because the only other broker that I know of off the top of my head that actually offers paper accounts, like real paper accounts, from the broker side that you can plug in to any of their platforms, and the platform doesn't have to have a sim mode. In other words, the platform treats it as a real account, but it's really a paper account. Do you guys happen to offer that, or is it only simulated through PhotonTrader?
Oh, no. So just to be clear, let's say you had a simulated account, right? Or I mean front end. If we were to give you a live username and password for the same software, you would be live without having, it's not two different softwares or two different, it's not, the simulator is no different. The only difference is the execution part actually does execute. I mean, when you execute, you're not, and by the way, our simulation is very quick. I mean, to the millisecond live feed. It's not, delayed. It's not recorded. I mean, you can see the markets real time, including our charts.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Let's see. Diane asking if you can back test using PhotonTrader, and I guess maybe just let me ask one more question. I know that you mentioned an API, but is it possible? I mean, like NinjaTrader has what they call Ninja Script, and somebody can go into Ninja Script, aka C#, and pound away some new indicators, or also write their own automated strategies. How, do you differentiate on your side for something like that, or do you just say API and whatever somebody wants to do with the API?
Yeah. So our API is easy to write to. It's very robust, but we don't have a back testing type of script. That's something that if you're interested in that and you like NinjaTrader and they have one, we can offer Ninja through Algorithmic or Continuum, but we don't have one. No, we don't have a back testing. But our API, in fact, we take we do help some clients if they're trying to write to our API, and we give them a little help, and we can offer some special programming in that area.
Mark is asking about historical data. So this is always a popular question, so maybe it's worth a few minutes to answer. So let's I guess first let's cover PhotonTrader, like what's available as far as like daily or minute, and then what about tick based, like volume charts or actual tick charts? How much data can I get?
Well, the new Photon charts, currently, as we speak, we have a ton of new updates coming and more indicators and things like that. But we're taking baby steps to build it right. But we do have tick charts, yes, and we have range charts. We use Algorithmic, and we pull about, I want to say about up to 4 or 5 years of back data if necessarily. If you want that much back data, you can pull that much back data. As far as like, I don't know that we go back that far with monthlies necessarily, but our charts are a little bit more for the users that are trading at short-term time frames. Dailies are fine, and even
Right.
weeklies,
Okay.
and 5-minute, 30-minute tick charts, things like that.
So what about NinjaTrader? It's a really popular platform, or any other. You support a lot of different platforms. Does the historical data
Correct.
vary from platform to platform, or is there a blanket answer you can give us?
Yes, it does, but it varies not just for us, but it varies for every IB and every FCM. I mean, for instance, NinjaTrader through Rhythmic, you can get the back data that Rhythmic offers for Ninja through us, if as much as any other Ninja offering Rhythmic through another FCM. CQG or Continuum, whatever data they offer, we can offer. That's
Okay.
not a problem. And most FCMs, when it comes to like CQG or Continuum, are pretty much the same. The difference, just real quick note, people don't understand, but like for instance with CQG, they're the ones that host the servers at the FCMs, and so that they tend to be fairly stable, but in pretty much the same. But TT, for instance, TT doesn't necessarily host them. It's the FCMs that host TT. So you can go at one FCM and TT can be great, another one you go, wow, this thing ends up or isn't as fast.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's see. A few more questions. David is asking about data fees. So you mentioned, I think it was $60 a month for Photon for the without charts, $99 with charts. What about data? Is that included or excluded from that?
No,
price?
that's totally included. I know that any data fees are all inclusive.
Okay.
The new data costs that are coming up with the CME, those would have to be passed along because I think for the retail it's like $5 a month or something.
Yeah, per exchange, I think.
$5 a month or something like that per exchange.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I guess they felt like they're not making enough money.
Yeah, there's a big thread on that on BMT. So speaking of exchanges, is Eurex included in that? That's a popular one.
Yes, we have Connect for Photon or in general?
Both, I guess.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Eurex is a very expensive exchange for FCMs to host, and so even when we do have Eurex available, it doesn't mean that they actually clear them. They could be sub-clearers. So we do have a couple FCMs that we use Photon with Eurex, and that would be Knight and I believe Dorman now, that we can use Photon with Eurex.
Okay,
and
very good.
As far as Eurex, though, with other front ends like CQG, it opens up the door to about 4 more FCMs.
All right, and let's see, Joe asking...
CQG Trader or something with Eurex.
Right. Joe's asking if the OCO and bracket orders, if they're client-side or server-side.
We hold ours on the client side, and that was a very big debate when we were first doing it. Server side, sounds great, but often servers, when they have a hiccup, they do a hot failover and they pop over to some, other server, and that can be, scary because you have no control over it. At least if it's on the client side, if your machine goes down, that your LCLs aren't being managed. Now, one thing I want to be clear about, though, is our LCLs aren't totally synthetic, okay? Only the management between the two orders, where some of the LCLs, their stops are synthetic. So in other words, when the market hits that level, it's just a market order. It's not a real stop being held on the exchange side. On ours,
right.
Both orders are on the exchange side, only managed by the client. You guys understand what?
Yeah, and you're referring to PhotonTrader right now, right?
Well, PhotonTrader, correct.
Yeah. So I did I see CTS T4 as one of your options?
Yes, we have CTS.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, they have server-side OCO. If you wanted
Correct.
to specifically use that, you could get that feature. Okay.
That's
just not
correct.
with Photon. Gotcha.
Right. And again, we're a brokerage firm, and we expanded our services to multiple clearing firms so that we can offer all these different softwares and give whatever the client wants. We're not here to try to push Photon on every single client. So whatever, you know.
Right. Looks like 2 or 3 more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Jay is asking on the dome, the ladder, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, on the volume histogram, can he control how many days back that goes, or is it always from the current session, or what are the options for that?
That's a good question that I might not even know 100%. I believe it's only a 24-hour, from the previous day, 24-hour trade history on the matrix.
All right.
And I'm not sure it goes back much further. And
like the last question is, I think the question is, do you provide free data feed like sometimes the other brokers like have a CQG? I think he's just talking about the trial. I mean, no one's going to give a free data feed unless you have a funded account, right?
Right.
Indefinite.
I mean, not
free.
Even the CME,
right. Right.
But for 30 days, there is no fee for the data.
Yeah, if you go past 30 days, then they're technically violating the CME rules.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, guys. So that's the last question I see on the screen. So if anybody has any other questions that they did not get answered, there's a thread on BMT. You can ask your question, or right there you got their website address or email address and phone number to get all your questions answered. So Damon, I really appreciate it, and taking all your time today to go through both the brokerage side and the platform side. And I look forward to having you back. I think there's a lot more that we can cover.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate the invite. Your site's awesome, by the way. I'm so glad that I was introduced to it, and of course Linda, Linda Raschke, who is my wife, she's a big fan of yours as well, and
I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah, and hopefully, we'll do some more webinars, and maybe I'll squeeze in a technical webinar and
Great.
Do some charting stuff with you guys. Yeah,
sounds good. All right, man. Well, this is actually the last webinar that we're going to have on BMT for about 6 weeks because I'm wrapping up and moving to Ecuador. So you guys will have to wait just for a little bit to get some more webinars, but I'll post the recording of this one on BMT sometime later today or tomorrow. And Damon, I look forward to having you back in 2 or 3 months, something like that.
Sounds great, and good luck with your move.
Thank you. I'm going to need it.
Yeah, and once you're settled down, I may have to come and visit.
Yeah, I've got a long waiting list. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, take care. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Good night.